Hello and welcome to another episode of Life Stories Markham. At Life Stories Markham, we delve into the backstories of inspiring people within our community, people who are known in their field of work or maybe by their passion. I'm your co-host Michael Heap, and I'm joined by
Nilesh Hathi.
And just a reminder to all of you out there, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to it via your favorite podcast provider, please subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified as new episodes drop.
So Michael, today we're joined by a Markham resident since he was 4 years old, I think. And he's also a local entrepreneur. He owns the Rouge River Brewing Company. He's also the brewmaster. Welcome to the show, Jordan Mills.
Glad to be here, guys. Glad to be here.
All right, Jordan, it's great to have you.
Good to be here.
So Jordan, we'll get to all that beer stuff in a few minutes. But first we want to tell us about this.
I don't know who that is. Sounds like
Okay, Jordan, so what do you think?
Sounds like a great guitar player, though.
Yeah, okay, so what's that sound we heard?
It's me playing acoustic guitar. Yeah.
And when did you start playing acoustic guitar?
When I was 13, something like that.
What was that song?
Black Hole Sun.
Great
Soundgarden.
song,
Great song.
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Big fan. Not, it's a great song.
Do you sing as well as play the guitar in that song sometimes, maybe?
It's happened. I wouldn't record it. I have done some vocal stuff, but I'm definitely way better at playing guitar than singing, so I kind of focus on that more.
And what genre do you play normally?
More like jazz. I'm like an aspiring jazz musician. Grew up playing like rock, like hard rock, classic rock,
Right.
Led Zeppelin, all that kind of fun stuff, and then kind of morphed into more R&B jazz, I would say. But I still play like rock stuff, classic rock here and there.
And when you're in bands, were you playing bands?
A lot of just playing with friends.
Yeah?
Yeah, just like in university, jamming with friends, just playing. So I wasn't really a band guy. I wasn't like big projects, bands or
Right.
whatever. I was just more like just hanging with friends. We just, play different tunes.
Too much rehearsing.
Yeah, just kind
It's
of what we might call jamming,
Yeah.
we're not working on performances. So
It's more organic that way, right?
yeah, it's more just, let's play this tune, or like that's kind of the jazz way of doing things. It's like, it's like call a tune and then like, you play it together.
So if I saw you here and you had a guitar in your hand, and I'd say, play me something, what would you play?
Oh man, I was actually kind of thinking about that question today because I know like pieces of a million different things, but it's like solo guitar is a lot different than say like that song that we were just playing. Like I don't remember what I did. It's like a lot of improvised stuff. So this like that recording was from about 3 years ago. So and I just kind of made it up. So it was kind of a lot of the stuff I'm like I don't really remember what I did necessarily.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of that's the fun part about improvised
Now, I can say
stuff.
that I have seen Jordan perform on stage, on the makeshift stage, if you will, at Rouge River Brewing Company. And it was the best performance I've ever seen. It had nothing to do with the beer I had consumed up to that point. But no, you were great, actually. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
Okay, so now, Michael, we've talked enough of this guitar stuff, right?
Right.
Get that out of the way.
Let's do this,
Talk
baby.
beer, shall we?
Let's do it. Okay, so Link Up.
Link Up.
Tell me about Link Up.
Link Up. That's a pretty exciting beer, actually. So it's made in coordination with a organization, the BAOS guys I was talking about. Actually, they do a podcast.
What does that stand for, Jordan?
Beer and other
other stuff.
You can say shit. That's
Shit.
fine.
Yeah.
It's interweb.
No, I think it's actually.
Oh, it is.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
But they let your imagination go where it may. But they have a program called Link Up that basically we donate a portion of proceeds from the beer, and they run a program to support like underdeveloped like minorities in the beer community to sponsor them for like a scholarship program. So help them get beer education, certifications, provide jobs. So yeah, it's a little bit of it's a great dry hop West Coast Pilsner, but also it has a little bit of a community aspect to support the.
And Michael's got
Tasty sauce.
As do
Tasty
you.
sauce.
Yes.
Yes, this is a new IPA just released last week. Nice hazy IPA. We do a lot of different hazy IPAs,
They're all
so
great.
to speak. So yeah, this is one of our newer ones we just released a week ago.
So the name Tasty Sauce comes from where, Jordan? Because I know some of your names are quite interesting. We'll get into that, but this particular one?
It's I guess it's something the kids say, not me being the kids, but
Right.
I say it.
you say
but
tasty
like-
sauce.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time.
So
you say
yeah,
it.
yeah, you know,
I
you're a
can't get
younger
him to
guy.
stop saying it.
So it's supposed to be just an expression, like that's some tasty sauce, just as like
Right.
That's cool.
an expression.
Nice.
I don't say that, but if I was cooler, maybe
Right.
I would
Now
say
we're cool.
that.
We're saying it.
We're gonna put a sign up in front of your brewery that says
Yeah.
"Tasty Sauce, baby."
Exactly.
So let's go back to the beginning, Jordan. Let's talk about beer. The beginning of you as a beer maker, before even a brewmaster. How did that start?
Yeah. It goes all the way back to what, like 2010,
Close.
like 13 years ago or so. Got a summer job at Mill Street Brewery as a summer student. So I was doing.
Were you in university at the
I was
time?
in university, yeah. So it was like a summer gig and
What were you studying in university at that time?
philosophy and history.
So, which has nothing to do with beer. Or maybe.
Well, you know, if you really think about it.
You know, when you're leading staff, maybe philosophy is good.
That's right.
Exactly. Depends on what you think about it.
So summer job at Mill Street.
Summer job at Mill Street, which at the time was like the coolest thing. You're a university student, and it's like you're interviewing for a job at a brew pub. You know, and I'm like, whatever. I think it was like 20 years old or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, I remember I left the interview and they're like, yeah, like take a 6-pack home. I was like, I get to take a 6-pack home? Like,
Right.
and they're like, yeah, whatever you want, like take a mix pack or whatever. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done before. And luckily I ended up getting hired.
I could just imagine as a young man, maybe one of the questions might be, so what are your salary expectations? You might say, you're going to pay me for this?
That's right. 6-pack.
Yeah.
Beer.
And actually, once they, I don't know, they interviewed quite a few people, and for some reason, I got picked. And I remember when I started, they were like, "Yeah, so everybody gets a 12-pack a week." And I was like, "What?"
Sold.
Yeah, that was.
Well, we're gonna have Jordan on more often because he brought us a 12-pack.
There you go.
Every 12 packs, you know, that's what Mill Street taught me, and you know, it's
Pay it
customary.
forward. Pay it forward.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's industry.
It's the weekly Life Stories Jordan Mills show.
It's industry standard. It's industry standard. But no, I kind of got in that way, and then
Were you helping make the beer, or were you in the office side of it?
no, that was more events, sponsorships. So I was like running beer festivals, like LCBO beer tastings, just like festivals. If anyone wanted like a charity needed beer or whatever, we would arrange donations of all that kind of stuff. So yeah, lots of beer festivals, lots of traveling, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So what did you learn from there for today?
Definitely met a lot of people, that's for sure.
People that you still have contact with in some cases?
For sure, exactly, yeah. And I mean, I ended up doing that job for a couple summers, and then I worked full-time for them for I worked in the marketing side, like I stayed in that thing full-time for a couple years, and then I ended up moving to brewing. And that's after I started home brewing and getting more serious. Yeah. But I remember the poor fellow, like once I left the job at Mill Street to go to the brewing side, the poor fellow who took my job almost like freaked out because he'd go to every festival and everyone's like, "Where's Jordan? What happened to Jordan?" And he's just like, "Stop asking about Jordan!" Like he couldn't escape it because I just had, I don't know. I guess I don't know. People liked me, I guess, but yeah, he.
Now was Mill Street one of the first? I would think was one of the first big craft breweries, or is it a craft brewery?
There's like a longer history. Like Muskoka has been around for quite a long time. Great Lakes has a pretty big history. Upper Canada, which went out of business more or less. Upper Canada was probably one of the earliest.
Upper Canada.
Right. Oh yeah.
You've heard about those guys. Amsterdam has been around since. It used to be called like Rotterdam back in the day.
That's right. I remember downtown. I was
Yeah.
on CBC and it used to be down on Adelaide or something.
Yeah, it's kind of before my before my time.
Probably a lot before your time, Jordan.
A fair amount before I was, in Toronto drinking and all that. But I know a little bit of the history, that kind of thing. But
So tell us the history of Rouge River.
history of Rouge River, yeah, where to start? Like I said, I kind of got my start at Mill Street and just fell in love with craft beer and the community and all the beers that were out there, the breweries, that kind of stuff. That got me into home brewing. So I started brewing at home.
So while you're working and brewing at Mill Street, you're also making your own stuff at home? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so it started, I was in the marketing, like events and sponsorships, and then I started home brewing while I was doing that. And then I just got more and more serious about brewing. So I was like, this is cool, I get to make my own stuff. And then kind of the idea came that I was living in Markham at the time, still am, and I was like, well, there's no brewery in Markham, like there's nowhere to go to. And I was constantly traveling to Toronto or wherever else there was something going on. And it was like, there's got to be an opportunity in Markham. Like no one's doing it. Even today, there's not really anything going on other than us for like a craft brewery. So I was like, there's got to be an opportunity. There's got to be people like me that drive to Toronto or take the bus down or whatever. And it's like, I'd rather go somewhere 5-10 minutes away than all that, commuting and all that stuff.
Sure.
So then it was kind of like, okay, let's get a little more serious about this brewing thing. Brewing in your garage is one thing, but making beer for hundreds of people and thousands of people and tens of thousands is a little bit different than serving to your buddies in the garage. The stakes are a little bit higher. So I figured, I was like,
Stakes maybe not as good though.
yeah, exactly. So I figured I just get some commercial experience. I was like, so I made the transition and I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, actually. I shouldn't say I'm surprised. I was lucky that they let me do that transfer because it was not a very conventional thing to do. I had a great job. I got to travel around, company car, everything paid for. And they're like, you want to make the beer? Like, you want to be one of those guys? And I was like, yeah. And literally the CEO wanted to sit with me. And he's just like, what's going on? I'm just like, I love beer. Like, I'm interested in it. And like, I just want to get involved. And he's like, okay, like if you want. So it was kind of like a downgrade of a job at the time. It was definitely a downgrade, but I was like, I needed to kind of learn that side of it. I was like, I gotta get experience. And I made so many great connections in the brewing side that are still people that I see and talk to today, and those relationships are super important. So kind of transferred the brewing side with them, and then like I said, had the vision to kind of start something in Markham. So I was brewing with them for a couple years, and then was building Rouge River at the same time as brewing for them. So that was like a bit of a busy time in my life where I'd be like working 8-12 hours there, going to bed, building the brewery for 4 or 5 hours before work, going to work, and just like repeating it. So that was a very
You just smelling hops the whole time in your nose, probably.
yeah. Well, at the brewery at the time, construction stuff. We're just like tearing up the floors and renovating that space, and then going and like brewing beer for.
So how did you come up with Rouge River?
Rouge River. One of my favorite breweries, or more inspirational breweries, is a brewery called Rouge River. They're in like Northern California. Great wine region too. Like Rouge River Valley. Make a lot of great wines. Like not Sonoma, but it's it's up in there. Great wines come from there. But so it was a brewery called Rouge River that does a lot of IPAs, and they invented like the double IPA style, which is pretty influential for what I do, and just like has always pushed the boundaries with not only IPAs but like sour beers and wild beers, and they're just like kind of legends in the industry. So Rouge River, and then basically we had Rouge River. I was like, well, we got our river, they got their river.
You're in Markham?
We're in Markham, runs through Markham, so it's a local landmark.
And was there other names in it running? I'm just curious. That's always my favorite question.
Oh, there we go.
I don't think so.
No?
No, like it was, the name kind of came earlier on when we were more just having fun.
Yeah.
I guess Markham Brewing Company would have been kind of boring.
Markham Brewing, like Mills Brewing Company.
Mills.
I don't know. It doesn't have the ring.
Markham Mills.
It was one of those things that I would say at the time we weren't ready to open the doors, so there was no rush. This was kind of early on, and it was just it just came out, and it was just like it just felt right. It was just like,
do you remember the moment? Do you remember the moment you said, "Let me start. I'm going to work on getting started my own"?
It was kind of gradual. Honestly, there was like a few moments where the beers I was homebrewing started to get to a certain level, and then people were tasting them, and they were like, "You made this at home."
No.
Like that's when it kind of
Right.
became like,
Sure.
I'd been brewing and brewing and brewing at home, and it didn't start out so good, of course. And then it got to a point where people were like, "You brew this at home?" I was like, "Yeah." Like I made it in the thing, and I did that, and I did that, and that's kind of when it was like, okay, people are really being blown away by stuff I was making in my garage. And I was like, okay, like if people like this, and that's a pretty common story, I think, for a lot of brewers and stuff like that, but it's very encouraging when
Yeah,
you're like,
but the equipment you would use if you're brewing in a garage is different from when you move to where you are now on Bullock Drive.
100%.
Yeah, and so you have to make that transition. I'm sure that was quite interesting.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of like, okay, the beers are starting to get better and better and better. And then, like I said, it was like, okay, the home brewing is all great and good and fun when you're making 20 liters, 30 liters, 40 liters, but then try making, like I said, 1,200 liters. Like it's a little bit of a different, different equipment, different scale, different stakes and all that stuff. So that's why I said like move to the brewing side of Mill Street. So I was like, okay, I can screw up their beer. It doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
That's their problem.
Were you
Before I spend my own money.
were you living by yourself when you were brewing at home?
No, at my parents' place.
Oh yeah, and how did
Yeah.
they take that?
They were supportive. They
Yeah?
were supportive. Yeah, like my dad's a big beer drinker. My mom does not drink beer at all. Her comment is tastes like beer, which is not a positive
Not a
comment.
positive thing.
Yeah, that's what she says if she doesn't like it. She's like, "It tastes like beer." I'm like,
Did your
okay.
dad influence you at all in beer making, or you just said leave you alone? Here's your garage. Here's the keys. Here's the code. Go to it.
No, I converted him from a very light, like Coors Light kind of guy. He was, Laker Light,
Yeah.
Coors Light, whatever. Kind of very like standard beer drinking kind of gentleman. And I exposed him to like different IPAs and different craft beer. So yeah, I eventually he just drank enough craft beer where he just like had a taste. He just developed a taste for it.
Yeah.
And so now he's like a fully converted IPA guy, and he doesn't even drink lagers anymore. Like he doesn't drink lagers or pilsners at all. He's like just a hoppy IPA kind of guy.
Did you come around often?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. For sure. For sure. Yeah. They live like fairly close to the brewery, so usually after work.
Do you make him pay?
He insists. I don't want him to, but he insists. I swear to God. No, like he is. He's such a, I don't know, like a genuine. He just wants to be supportive.
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure. It's just
I
your
can't-
business.
Yeah, I can't stop him. He's
No.
just like, "Oh, I'm getting it. I'll pay for it."
Was
I'm
there
like,
ever
you
a
don't have
time
to.
when you made that, you're making that transition to the bigger facility, the bigger equipment? I'm just imagining, was there ever a time where you had one batch that just wasn't right, and here's like hundreds and hundreds of liters that you've got to get rid of?
Do you mean at Mill Street or when I started Rouge
No, on
River?
your own, but with Rouge.
Well,
Where's your money?
yeah. I guess like I'd made so many beers. Like, so technically at Mill Street, we were brewing such bigger batches. So this was actually way smaller in comparison to
sure.
that. So like I was homebrewing, so that's 20 liters. I was brewing at Mill Street. That was like, what that was, 60 hectoliters. So that was 6,000 liters per batch. And then they built a new brewery, which I worked at for my last like 8 months. That was 12,000 liters per batch.
Wow.
And we brew around the clock. So
Right.
we brew like 5, 6, 7 days a week. So this system, when I started Rouge River, that was a 1,200 liter system. So it was like 1/12 or 1/10 the size of the
Right.
Mill Street. So I was like, yeah, I've already made like hundreds and thousands of beers. Like this is just whatever. And
Sure. If it didn't work out, whatever, just flush it.
yeah. And there was never too many early problems
No.
with making the beer. And everything's like, especially with like a smaller craft brewery like us, based on a bigger brewery, everything's very automated, right? So it was running a program. You're kind of just like sitting at a desk with a mouse, just making sure everything's like looking good, and if things need to be kind of tweaked, like you tweak it, but it's kind of just like something goes wrong, you step in. Whereas this, like craft breweries in general, you're very hands-on. So there was times at Mill Street, like some things went wrong, but like it was a computer error, right? Whereas on a manual brew house, like us, like I can see, like I'm there, I'm looking at it, I'm smelling it. Bigger breweries, you're sitting in a little control room, you know, something's not working. You don't know, like you're.
It's not a feel thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit more hands off, I guess you would say. I do have a funny story. There was a beer, and I don't want to talk about Mill Street too much, but that's in the past. But there was a beer, and I was making this Belgian beer, and it wasn't heating up. And I was like, why is this not heating? There's like a steam heating system. I was like, why is it not heating up? And I'm like, the sensor, like it was like heat was going on, but the sensor wasn't going on. I was like, what's going on? So I had to check on the steam boiler, and that's like, the building was so big, it took me like 15 minutes to walk to the other side of the building. So I'm like, here, it's like 3 a.m. because I'm working night shift. I'm like, what's going on? Steam pressure looks good. And I'm like calling the plant manager. I'm like trying to troubleshoot the steam boiler. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like, it's like, seems to be working. I was like testing some stuff. I go back to the brew house and I'm like, okay, like what's going on? And I was like, maybe I should look in the actual vessel and see what's going on, and the thing was boiling. And the temperature sensor said it was like, let's just say 50 Celsius, and it was boiling the crap out of this thing, and I was like, oh, the sensor's broken.
Faulty sensor.
The steam isn't broken, the sensor's broken. But to me that was just like, kind of epitomizes the way of thinking, like you're just like, oh, it's all sensors and this and that, and you're trusting this and you're trusting that, you're trusting this, and things go wrong.
Now, what date did you open Rouge River? Do you remember?
It was, like October 20-something, 2016.
So do you remember the day when you opened the doors? Do you remember how you felt?
I remember my grandfather was the first customer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
He came in, and it was like probably like a Wednesday or something, and he was like the first customer. He's like, "What do you got?" I was like, I think I had like one beer or something, you know, like 1-2 beers on the shelves, and I was like, I don't know. Those are Autumn Pale Ale. It was a pale ale.
Pale ale.
Yeah, it was a pale ale. Was our first beer, Autumn Pale Ale.
And your grandfather gave you the thumbs up?
He gave me the thumbs up. Yeah. Well, like we didn't have a taste. I mean, did we have beer on tap? We might have had beer on tap back then. But yeah, no. He was like the first one, and I was like, you know, trying to figure out. I was like, the POS, you know, I was like, how do I even put this in? Like, hope this all works. Like, we don't know what we're doing. So, yeah, that was.
Where did you learn your business skills? Because running a brewery is not just let's make some beer.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess it's more of an attitude of like, figure it out, you know? Yeah. It's just, to me, it's an attitude of like, just sit down and just figure out how to do stuff.
You're okay with the numbers side of business, if you will?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was like passionate about business as a younger man. I kind of shied away from that. But as an ends to pursuing something that you're passionate and involved, it's like, okay, well, we'll do the business thing. But I've definitely been led by more of a desire just to create. Like I'm more of a creative person, I guess, than an entrepreneur per se. But I've become, like, over the years, I've kind of started to, I wouldn't say soften up, harden up a bit.
Right.
And be like, okay, we do need to think about like our market, like what people want from us, what people expect, opportunities in the market. I definitely started as more of a purely like more artisan kind of perspective, where I was just like, I just want to make what I want.
Right.
I want to make what I want to drink. I want to make what I'm passionate about. You know, lead and they will follow kind of thing, which to a certain extent is still kind of the ethos or like philosophy, but there's been a little bit of a conceit to be like, okay, we need to kind of play ball a little bit and not just like, we need to give people what they are asking from us.
Well, I think every entrepreneur sort of gets to that point when you start something based on a passion, what you want to do, and then you realize in order to grow and survive, there's certain things you have to do, maybe compromises you have to make.
100%. That was definitely like something that has changed over the years, almost 7 years in. To start, like I said, it was very much like, I want to make this and people are going to buy it because it's really good and I know what I'm doing, which is still the case,
And
of
if they
course.
don't want to buy it, then screw them.
Yeah, like we don't need them. But, like I said, I was like, we kind of were like, okay, people sometimes just want a local beer, right? And they don't necessarily want a 9% beer or an 8% hoppy, situation. So it's like, okay, there is a market for people that just want something a little bit lighter, easier drinking, blah, blah, blah. So we're kind of like, okay. But if we're going to do it, obviously it's going to be the best version of like what that could be.
Sure.
It's not like giving up and being like, all right, like, who cares? It's still, of course, for me, it's like, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be like an award-winning version or a version like I'm proud of that particular thing.
I know when we travel a lot, the first thing we do is we look for local craft breweries, right? We always go and we get a flight and all that sort of stuff, right? We're going to figure what they're out.
100%.
Speaking of awards, you won a couple awards.
Won a couple awards, yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's been a few. It's so hard to keep track. There's just so many. No, there's not that many.
You're so humble too, Jordan.
I know, it's hard to be so humble. But yeah, so we've got a few over the years, and categories like I'm happy with. So we've won for our Pilsner, which I'm very happy with. That was kind of what I was just talking about.
So not an IPA, a Pilsner.
Not an IPA, not an IPA. But like I said, if we're gonna do something, I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. And I've come around to lagers and Pilsners a little bit more over time in my older age. I used to be just IPAs, pale ales. That was kind of it. But I realized not everyone likes those styles. You can make the best one in the world. It's still not for everyone.
You don't make a stout.
We make stouts occasionally.
Yeah.
We don't have a full-time stout. We do the more winter seasonal kind of stuff.
What's your best selling brew?
That's a great question. Whatever's new.
Yeah?
Yeah.
People love trying new stuff from you, right?
Yeah. If you like compare, it's a little, because it's interesting because we do like Ridges is our house Pilsner that we do all the time. Holy Trinity as well as like our LCBO flagship IPA. So if you kind of look at them in the long term, like, they're the best selling, but only because they're available all the time, not because they're selling the fastest. Right. So it's whatever's going to sell the best, like this week or next week, it's going to be this new IPA, whatever else new thing.
Right.
Funny kind of piece of information, like we'll do beers that are very, very similar, but because it's a new name or a new label, people go crazy for it.
Yeah, of course. It's marketing.
We did a beer for a festival, which was essentially our Pilsner, but with a different label, and people were like, that one you did that was like, my God, that was so good. Like, that's like so much better than like the other one, and it was the same
exactly the same
beer in a different can.
And what's your favorite?
My favorite. It's a hard question to ask. I got to agree with the people and say whatever's new.
Ask. It's a hard one to answer.
I guess if there's, what's his favorite kid?
Yeah, it's
Well, there must be one you actually love drinking all the time. You love this one, Tasters, and then or one you're proud of. You went, oh my God, I created this.
There's been so many. There's some that like there's more effort that goes into them, which I tend to feel more attached to sometimes. If it's like a special project where there's like lots of sourcing of ingredients and there's lots of like extra work. Like we did this Brazilian lemonade beer, which I have here as well. There was a lot of work.
We'll try that next.
Blending all the limes.
Yeah.
So I feel that was a little more difficult than making, say, like an IPA, just in terms of like, I don't have to blend limes for like 6 hours when I make this. It's a little more straightforward for the process. It's hard to choose. It's hard to choose.
To ask, you mentioned that you're always changing the beer, and then a lot of us, I'm a regular. I like the different beer. I like to see what's new, but I'm always curious. So here we are today, and Tasty Sauce is pretty new. So maybe 2 weeks from now, or next week even, there's going to be another one. Like, are you thinking about the next one? Are you thinking about what I'm going to do what differently and how I'm going to change it?
Yeah. So there's always like a certain amount of things that are secured in advance. So we kind of like, we have our like hops that we contract for. Sure. So essentially we have to like future them a little bit. So we have to say, okay, 2024, I'm going to buy this much of this hop and that hop and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we're kind of like trying to see the future a little bit.
Right.
Agreeing to like what we're gonna buy down the line. So I know for next year there's certain things, there are new hops that are coming out. We have a few for next year that I'm very excited to use that we haven't been able to get for this year.
That's the biggest difference, is it not? The combination of hops that goes into each recipe?
In general, yes, for sure. That is, long story short, yes. There's lots of other stuff that gets tweaked. Like there is like a little bit of water chemistry that we play with. So different minerals we add into the water to get different, like drier or sweeter. It adjusts like the finish of the beer, so how quickly it kind of like comes off the palate.
Sure.
So I'm always kind of thinking about those kinds of things, but those are more incremental. But like the hops that we're getting are like, because these are just very hop heavy beers, so that ends up being the more important kind of thing.
So how do you begin the process? Okay, I'm going to try this, or what is that? What's the first step you go think in your brain? You go, oh,
For trying like new things.
You say, this is the flavor I want, or whatever it is. What is that? Is it a flavor thing? Is it a new chemistry thing? Or is it?
Like a lot of what we experiment with is like different hops, new hops. We'll experiment with like, you only have so many things to change in like a beer recipe. I mean, there's a lot actually, but.
But you do a small little batch first and try it, or no, you don't?
Never,
Really?
no.
You do the whole.
We just go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I just get a napkin and I'll be like, okay, like this beer was like a napkin kind of thing. It was like, okay, to make like,
This is a Brazilian, right?
A Brazilian lemonade. Yeah, this one is a little bit out there. It's not that crazy, but it was definitely
This
like,
required a lot of limes. You said it had to be.
A lot of limes. We used lactose, which is like a milk sugar, to sweeten it a little bit.
I'm going to finish this up and try that one out.
Absolutely. I think I'm pretty happy with that one. So yeah, this was like some napkin math where I was like, okay, to make 4, like there's like an actual drink it's based off of, which is like condensed milk, water, sugar, ice, and limes, like whole limes. Yeah. So I made that actual drink and I was like, okay, so I'll just scale that up. Like I made like 4 cups like that. I'm like, okay, so I just need to make like 2,000 cups. So I just kind of I kind of just scaled that up a little bit, approximating.
And how big's your run you normally run?
So like a batch is usually about 1,000 liters. And we'll do some kegs off of that. So 30-liter kegs, so usually about 10 kegs. So that's about 300 liters. So 700 liters left, that'll go into cans. So typically, depending on how it goes, like 1,500 cans or so.
The canning's interesting, right?
Look at these great labels.
I know,
too,
the labels
artwork.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Who does your artwork?
Local guy, his
Yeah.
name's Mark Gaunt. Shout out, Mark.
Yeah, look at that.
You're the man.
Yeah.
We love your work.
Yeah.
Don't leave us.
Did he design the original Rouge River logo, or?
No, we had another guy do that.
We don't talk about him very much.
No, we don't work with that. We occasional project we'll use him for actually, but yeah, no. It was more of he's like an overseas guy, and so it's definitely better knowing the person face to face. And the guy was in Serbia, and much love to Goran, but just being able to like sit down and talk with someone kind of like this is way better than miscommunications and like a bit of a language barrier and all that stuff. Sure. But
so you will start thinking brewing. You come up with the name before or after?
Ideally before, but typically after.
Typically after, and then he'll quickly run a graphic or something or logo, present something to you. You'll say, you'll have some ideas on it, obviously, right?
Yeah. I that's one of my downfalls is
it's a quick process.
Yeah, it needs to be quick. It needs to be quick because the beers take 2-3 weeks to be ready. So when the beer's brewed, the countdown kind of begins. So we're like, the beer's almost ready. Can we get something?
And then you got to send it out to the canning people.
Yeah, we got to send it to our printer,
right?
Like to get the labels printed. And then luckily the way our process works right now is we can, there's been some tight timelines for getting the labels.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I understand, sorry Michael, I understand that there's a mobile canning almost, which I didn't realize.
100%, yeah.
So the beer doesn't leave your facility, it gets canned at your location?
Yeah, so they have a trailer. So it's just like a truck with a trailer. So they roll it up, and then they have a couple staff that basically set up the machine. They operate it. We provide the beer, cold, carbonated, ready to go, and we hook it up to their machine, and we package it all off. They bring all the empty cans, the lids, everything we need. We provide the labels. They have a labeling machine they provide. And yeah, they roll it up. Takes them a couple hours to set it up. We run for anywhere from like 3 to 6 hours, and then they tear it down, they clean it up, put it back in the truck, and they leave.
And that's once a week or once every 2 weeks?
Once every 2 weeks right now.
And how many beers do you run in that?
It depends. Depends.
One or
Anywhere from
two,
like
three?
two to four
four?
is pretty typical. Yeah, depending on what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah. So every 2 weeks they come in, and the big advantage is that we don't have to worry about storing all the like the equipment and the empty cans and all that. They're quite take up a lot of storage space. So
Right. Wow.
that's nice.
Fascinating.
So we've talked a lot about beer, talked about guitar playing. What else do you do?
I run.
Yeah?
I like to run. Yeah.
Like marathons or ultra marathons?
More of a half marathon guy right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been doing some half marathons, but I like to get to a full. I feel like I can do it, but I think I got to do like a 3/4 first.
Do they have that? Oh,
No, I would just do it on my own. I would just
He's not a race. He's not a joiner, right? I'm guessing he's not a joiner. I'm sure he doesn't go and joins races or anything. You just do it on your own, right?
I did a 10K, the Markham one, the Run for Women's Health, or what it's called, Run for Health, or I forget what it's called. I did that one, and I did pretty well. It was a 10K. Did about 45 minutes. I got like 7th.
wow, that's good.
That's pretty. I did in 45 minutes, which is a pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I couldn't have done it any faster.
I know a bunch of runners. When we do marathons, I know an ultra marathon runner who does 100 miles. A friend of mine's doing a Pikes Peak this week, which is like straight up the mountain. Like it's crazy.
I was a runner for years.
Michael did marathon.
I did Chicago Marathon twice, New York City once, and those 3 experiences were some of the best of my life. Being out there with thousands of people in these great locations and going through neighborhoods and having the support, and there's bands out there, and it's just an amazing experience. There's so much energy that you get from being in an environment like that. So if you have a chance to do a marathon, even in another city,
Absolutely.
I recommend that. It's great.
Absolutely, it's on my list. It's on my list because I've been toying around some half marathons this year. Not competitively, just on my own time, but I'm gunning.
So running, guitar, anything else? Do you read? Do you watch movies? Do you watch sports? Or
What do I really spend my time on? That's a good
Listen to
question.
music.
listen to music?
Listening to music, yeah, that's always important. I play a
You
little
can do
bit.
that while you work, I guess. Too.
Yeah, there's a lot of like loud pumps running, so I've typically got a podcast going. I do some cycling as well. I like to do that more with friends. I like to run alone. For whatever reason. I guess I don't have any friends that run at a similar clip that I do, and that live close by. So I just do it, and I cycle with friends, and we'll meet up for that kind of thing. I like reading when I can. I don't read as much as I want to. I always want to read, but then at the end of the day, there's not enough time to cook dinner and do everything I need to do.
So how do you keep up to date on the newest hops that's coming next year? Do you read up on that, or does it come to you, that information?
It's surprisingly not as easy to find information about that kind of stuff. You kind of need to like keep your ear to the ground, see what like some of my colleagues are doing, like some of the breweries that I'm friends with and respect. Kind of just keep an eye on their social media kind of stuff. And then not as much as I maybe should or want to, like but just tasting other beers out there and seeing, okay, well, he used this new hop. Well, what's my impression? But like anything, it's like until you use it in your beer with your process, like it's very much like a chef, right? You give a chef noodles and garlic and lemon. What a home cook or not a home cook versus this chef or that chef or this chef would make, they're going to be like very different things depending on what they do. So, and like that's the thing about brewing. It's like, you ask 6 brewers how they do one technique or one process, you'll get 6 different answers.
Right.
And that's like the very interesting part about brewing with someone else. it is kind of like cooking with someone else, but in brewing, there's just so many different ways people do things. Like there's just so many
the
little
ingredients may be the same.
ingredients the same, but
process
like, oh, well, I do it this way because this guy showed me this back in the day or whatever.
Says.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of like,
Yeah, that's right.
there's not a lot of like, I don't know what the right word for it. It's just like, that's the way I was shown.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
not necessarily
That's right.
based by science or studies or
Yeah.
papers. It's like, well, this guy showed me to do this back in, 2010 or 2007, and that's just the way I do it now. And every brewer is kind of like that. It's like, well, I do it because that's the way I've always done it, right?
So
There's
are
a
you-
little bit of that.
Are you going to get your, I have a reason for asking this question. Are you going to get your marriage license to marry people? Because my wife and I got married by a brewmaster
Oh, yeah?
from Steam Whistle.
Okay.
And he had his license. And we were like, oh, perfect. We found him on the web. Like, perfect. I mean,
So Nilesh has been talking about, he just feels that every brewmaster should also be able
Yeah.
to marry people.
exactly.
I don't know if that's a thing though, Jordan.
I wonder what the rationale behind that is. Like,
Well, it could be a thing. Get married to Rouge River by Jordan Mills.
right.
It could be a
And
thing.
the beer that's served is just for you and your
A
occasion.
Saturday event.
Right.
I don't think he's buying it.
I don't think he's buying it. No, I don't think so.
I need to wrap my head around it a little bit.
We'll come to you.
Yeah,
You're free.
yeah.
We'll come to you.
Noodle on it.
I got to expand the resume a little bit. It's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
The whole musician brewmaster is not.
So what's the next step for Jordan Mills?
That's a great question. I guess for the business, probably like what we're talking about. Yeah, we're just trying to really just let still people know that we're here. It's like insane to
Some
me.
things people don't know.
There's just so many people that still don't know
Yeah.
that Rouge River, like
Right.
you can come in, you can have a drink. There's still so many people who are like, how long, like when did you guys open up? I'm like, 7 years ago. They're like, oh, okay. Like it's kind of crazy. People are like, I've just driven by so many times. So it's really like there's just still so many people I think that are not aware of what we are, what we do.
Yeah.
A lot of people know the business that was there before, which is like the brew your own wine and beer. So
My neighbor owns a place next door to you.
Oh, yeah?
Cleaning products.
oh, nice.
He lives on the street.
Jim?
Yeah, Jim.
Oh,
yeah,
attaboy.
Jim. He
Old Jimmy.
Jimmy owns a horse, right?
The horse?
He owns a horse.
I
He
didn't
races
know he was-
horses at Fort Erie and Woodbine.
I guess I don't know Jim that well.
Okay.
I know he plays golf. I know
That's
he
right,
plays
that's
golf.
Yeah.
That's, that I know.
Yeah.
Jim, I hope you're watching this at home.
That's right.
Yeah, Jim.
So, what's business aside? What's next for Jordan Mills?
Run that marathon.
There you go. Do it. Have a plan. Have a plan.
Coming
Have a plan.
soon. Yeah, like music stuff would be great for sure. Like record an album, get a real band maybe one day. We'll see. I shouldn't say a real band. I played with groups before, but recording an album would be cool.
And do you play often at your brewery? Is it
I
called brewery?
used to, but I was talking to Lucy. I gave him a little break. I was like, well, I had a group and it was a lot of fun, but we were having a hard time getting new material. So we were kind of running the same songs a little bit too often.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting enough new songs because we play every 2 weeks. So it was a little bit tough to like get a lot of new material every time.
Sure.
So I was getting got a little played out.
Do
So
you
I was
think-
like, you know what? Let's just like let's take a break.
Yeah.
Right.
let's revamp the whole concept because it was getting a little.
It could be a live venue night. Could
What's
be a
that?
live venue, live music venue.
Live music venue. Yeah, we do lots. We do like occasional shows. I know like a bunch of musicians, and we'll do some occasional stuff. Yeah.
You do have food now. You've got the taco occasionally, the pizza.
Yeah.
On the weekends.
You have pizza?
Pizza guy.
See, I didn't know that.
Homemade
Yeah.
pizza. Oh, the
Pizza
guy's
Friday
good.
to Sunday. Patterson's Pizza. Shout
Yeah,
out.
It's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's our guy. Yeah, so it's mostly like pizza, I would say, Friday to Sunday. We're open on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And we do pop-ups on Saturday afternoons for lunch. Because usually the pizza doesn't start till the afternoon. So we usually we had a taco guy this past Saturday.
Yeah.
12 to 4 kind of thing. Until the pizza starts up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it time, Michael?
I think it's time. Are you ready, Jordan?
I'm assuming this is the rapid fire.
Oh.
Okay, Jordan. I don't know if you're looking forward to this or not.
I don't know what to expect, so I'm kind of neutral on the whole thing.
You know, Michael is pretty. You know Michael for a while. He's pretty straight up, but you don't know what to expect from me. That's the problem.
So be ready for his questions. Mine will be fine.
Okay, first question up. Phone call or text?
Text. Easy.
I'm with you, buddy.
Do not call me.
I'm with you, buddy.
Do not
Okay,
call me,
that's
please.
fine.
And we
I'm
found that
busy.
out by trying to get you pre-interview.
Yes. If we could have done that by text, it would have been instantaneous.
Interesting. Yeah, and everybody's different, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no
I'm a
wrong
text
answer.
person as well.
Yeah.
I'm a bad texter because I spell bad. Because my brain works so fast. Like my eyes are O's and O's are guys.
I'm usually just like working in the back. I'm like working some pumps. I'm like sweating in this. I'm like, you can't hear me. It's all this. I'm like, when I get a minute and I don't have all this stuff going on, I will sit down and respond. But when I'm in the heat of doing a million things, I'm just like, do not try to call me right now.
Yeah.
I do not sit at a nice quiet desk. That's not how I work
There you
Exactly.
go.
most of the time.
Okay, what, Jordan, is your favorite song? You choose one to listen to right now.
Oh my God.
Sit back.
Okay, this is gonna be a song that nobody knows, but there's an artist called Lewis Cole. He has a song called "The Abyss." It's a new album. Okay. Is it Lewis Cole? No, it's a band called Knower.
Nowhere.
Knower. Knower.
Okay.
From? Do you know?
do
From
you mean?
where? Which part of the world?
They're American.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Are
yeah.
they a sort of jazzy type of band?
Yeah, it's like kind of how would you describe it? It's like electronic, jazzy-ish.
Okay.
Like right
yeah.
up Michael's alley. We're electronic.
Perfect. Bring it on.
Cats or dogs?
Ooh, or neither.
I've had both. Currently have a dog. My parents have a cat that will not die. It's like 21 years old. It's incredible.
Okay, shout out to the cat. What's the cat's name?
Rosie,
Rosie. There you go.
still alive, just lives behind the couch.
And
Will
what's the
not.
dog's name?
My dog's name is Leela,
And what's kind of dog?
French bulldog.
French bulldog. Okay, Leela. Hello, Leela.
How about
Okay.
both?
Both. There you go.
How about
Both.
both?
You've
Okay.
got both
There
covered.
you go.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Well, you just lamed out of that one.
So, Jordan, it's time for you to spend some time with your lovely lady. A movie date or a dinner date?
I mean, it's got to be dinner.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I'm a food guy. I love
There you
cooking.
go.
I'm obviously a flavor and taste guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a nice dinner.
What would
for
she
sure.
say?
Would she agree? Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Hopefully.
For sure. I'm the main chef. I'm the main chef in the household.
There you go. And you can pair the beer with the meal as well.
Exactly.
I don't know how old you are, but first album you ever purchased? Do you know LPs? Are you old enough to know LPs?
I have LPs, but I'm not that old.
So it would've been a
I got
CD.
those when I was older.
8-track? CD?
CD, Prozac. I don't know if you guys know Prozac.
Prozac, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little Euro pop.
Yeah, for sure. I know Prozac.
Prozac Hot Show, I think the album was called.
Oh, okay.
One of my
Excellent.
first.
You even know the name. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so meat pie or apple pie?
Meat pie.
Meat pie?
I don't like pie though, but
No.
if it had to be a
But you
pie,
like meat?
I do like meat.
You're
Yeah,
more savory than sweet then?
for sure, 100%. I'm not a dessert guy.
Not a dessert guy.
No.
I'm with you there.
No.
You work late. You work 15 hours a day. You go home. You want a snack. What's your go-to snack?
Snack. Whoa. Wow.
Popcorn, chocolate,
Cheetos.
pretzels.
Beer nuts.
Beer nuts, pretzels. Huh?
No.
No?
What do I? I'm not a snack guy.
No?
No? Okay.
More of a meal guy.
More of a sandwich, maybe?
That's just more of a meal. Like I'm actually really good, other than drinking beer during the day. I guess that would be my snack.
Beer's your snack.
Can I answer that?
There you go.
So
Absolutely.
you get home, what, 11, 12 o'clock at night maybe sometimes?
Ideally not. Yeah, like 7. you know.
Oh,
whatever it
wow.
is.
You got a good job.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good.
Okay, Jordan, you've given us some insight into some of your talents. You're a great brewmaster. You're quite a good guitarist. What's another hidden talent, one that we might not be aware of, or that people might not be aware of?
Your staff.
You kind of mentioned cooking as well, but maybe that's out there now.
I don't know if it's hidden. I make a pretty mean cocktail.
Yeah?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your main cocktail? If I came to your house and you said, I have a cocktail, what would you make?
Right now, it'd be a Mai Tai.
Oh.
I'd make a mean
coming
Mai
over.
Tai. Yeah.
What's the secret to good Mai Tai?
Fresh citrus.
Yeah.
Fresh citrus.
Nice.
Don't use any of that bottled, pre-made
Right,
stuff.
just gotta
That's just Chris.
Fresh limes, fresh grapefruit. Don't
Okay.
mess around.
Don't cross the border with Nexus with the citrus.
All right.
Okay. What's your childhood nickname? What do people call you?
Millsy.
Millsy.
Probably Millsy would be the one. Some of my friends still call me that.
What do they call you at work?
Mr. Mills?
That's a good
Boss.
question. Well, it's not a big team at work. It's me and my sales manager. So I think he calls me Millsy. So yeah, I guess Millsy. It's not the most creative, but
Yeah.
it's easy.
Okay, question number 10. What is the one person that you would like to meet? Living or dead? If you could meet with somebody right now, who would it be?
Questions like music or beer.
Okay.
Brewery guy or like musician. The creative side says musician, but the kind of more, I mean, brewing is creative for me too, but Ken Grossman probably.
Who's Ken Grossman?
Ken Grossman owns Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. So Sierra Nevada is like one of the biggest
Right.
independent craft breweries in the U.S. They've been at it
In
since
Asheville, North Carolina?
Asheville, North Carolina. They also have a spot in Chico, which is like Northern California.
A musician. Who's a musician you'd like to meet?
Living?
Sure.
Or dead?
Or dead. Don't say John Lennon.
No.
Jimi Hendrix?
I'd say Miles Davis, but Miles Davis doesn't
Miles
seem like a
Davis.
fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
He seems a little too serious.
You know, we went to BB King's bar,
Right.
and BB King came out, and he was just hammered. Came out, was coming on. Sorry, it's not BB King. No. Buddy Guy. Sorry, Buddy Guy.
Yeah, BB King.
Sorry, Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy. I was too confused.
Yeah.
Buddy Guy. So he comes out, he's hammered. He comes out slurring. He can't get two words out, right? But when he starts playing, man, he's like gold.
Just on, right?
Just on, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, that's my.
Anyway, it was just a bad night, buddy, if you're watching.
Yeah. This is my little story.
Yeah.
Is Buddy Guy still alive?
I think
Probably.
So.
He is.
Yeah.
I think he is. I think I saw him touring recently.
Yeah.
Or saw the name come up somewhere.
Yeah.
I saw him at Massey Hall, but that was like probably 10 years ago.
What was the first concert you went to?
Alexis on Fire.
Oh,
Oh.
You guys know Alexis on
Yeah.
for sure. We're not that old.
Fire. That was very intense. I was like 14, and it was a very intense
What was your
show.
first concert, Michael?
First big one will be Supertramp
Supertramp?
Supertramp.
at the exhibition stadium. Yeah.
Mine was Bryan Adams and Tina Turner at the Aiken Center in Fredericton.
Okay. Wow. A great location for a concert.
Exactly. I was like, seats like 3,000 is where I graduated as well. Graduation ceremony was at the Aiken Center.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up.
Yeah. I'm just,
Jordan, thank you
Thank you
very
very
much
much.
Hey,
for
thank
being
you,
here.
Jordan.
This
Thank
is
you,
amazing.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
We learned a
it was
lot
fun.
about you, and we learned a lot about your business.
This is fantastic, by
and
the
we
way.
learned a lot about your beer.
I like this almost better than the.
Really? Wow, that's great.
I love
The
the
Pegasus? Oh, no, the
The,
Lincoln.
like the Brazilian. I'm going to try the Brazilian in a moment.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for being here, Jordan. And for people out there, it's lifestoriesmarkham.ca. That's the website. Look us up. You'll find a lot of information there. You can send us ideas on guests you think might be suitable. And any information you need, contact us there. And please do subscribe to the channel. And you'll get all the updates. And we'll let you know when the new episodes are being dropped. And again, all the production is Neelash Hathi Media. And the man himself can be reached at neelash.hathi@gmail.com. And again, it's been great.
And
Thank
go
you.
to Rouge River.
And Rouge River is on Bullock. So
Fantastic.
visit them anytime.
Cheers.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.